Daniel Cartman created the drama triangle, where it's where people tend to sit in terms of their behavior. So you've got the person who likes to rescue, which is exactly what you're
Yeah.
speaking into there, right? I feel like I want to support and make the situation better. This definitely has undercurrents and undertones of the rescuer. Then you've got the victim.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I don't have any control. They can
Yeah.
be a little bit blamey, but there's the victim role. And then the other side of that, the third point of that triangle is the villain, the person who is naming, blaming, labeling outwards at everything and are not really taking any responsibility for their own issue. Everybody else's fault, not mine. When you're dealing with those people, the strategy is to move into what is called the empowerment triangle. Now, the empowerment triangle is for the person who is the rescuer, which in this case is what you default to because of your service-centric mindset. And most educators they operate from a rescuer kind of mindset. You want to move into a space of coaching. So when I say you just want to hold the space in neutral gear and then ask the question, because as you say, you don't want them leaving after they've just shared something really hard with you, feeling like you don't care. And then you could just, if you want to sort of keep it around you, you can go, what, that sounds really hard. What do you need from me? But you're asking the question, you're not going, well, I could A, B, C, D. You're just
Yeah.
listening, acknowledging, and then going, passing it back to the other person and going, okay, yeah, wow, that's a lot. I recognize that. What do you need from me right now? Usually they'll go, oh, nothing. Permission granted to let it go. It's not often that they'll go, well, can you go have that conversation with that person? Now, if that was the case, I would go, not my job, not for me to
Yeah.
do, but I can support you to figure out how you want to have that conversation. So now I know my job is to support them and how to have that conversation with that person rather than going away and having the conversation on their behalf, right? So every time you try and put something on your plate, you just pass it back and wrap support around it, right? But always you're enabling and empowering. It's called the empowerment triangle. So you're moving from rescuer to coach. If someone's in villain, you want to have them move into challenger where they're going, how could I make this better? Self-responsibility, not blaming outwards. What can I do to make this better? Putting it back on them, you're going, what can you do to make it better? That's the empowerment triangle. And then if someone's stuck in victim, then what you want to do is you want to try and use questions and coaching to move them into create a space where they're like, what would you like to do about it? What would success look like for you? And therefore, how would you get to that success? They're starting to problem solve for themselves and know what they're doing. So the drama triangle, I think, definitely is playing a role within this emotional drain that you're experiencing because you are, by default, a rescuer, which is not a bad thing. It's not a negative label. It's an awareness. And what you want to do when you are in rescuer mode for yourself is you want to, instead of fix, start asking questions. So move away from statements and direction and start to ask questions that then encourages that other person to problem solve for themselves. Right. So the whole empowerment triangle thing is around having an awareness of that and going, it gives you a strategy with which to not pick up the weight of the emotions that are being expressed and take them home while still supporting that person in a way that's important to you. They're still showing up authentically. And I really do believe that that's where a lot of people in leadership get exhausted, that whole energy exchange thing between two people, especially when one of them is particularly negative, right? So you start to feel like because you are rescuing, you're problem solving, you're supporting, that's when you start to feel like I'm spending more time managing than I am leading because I'm managing the fires. So leadership, to flip you from manager to leader, ask questions and pass the responsibility to solve the problem or to emotionally regulate back to the person. you will notice a huge change in how you experience those moments. So the strategy I would love for you to implement is the acknowledge and the ask. Okay. And their response to the ask will tell you whether you need to sit down and make a plan with them or whether they have the capability to sort it out for themselves. But it gives you a little bit of space between you actually having to do the work and the other person realizing that they're able to do the work. So, acknowledge they've plucked up the courage to come and tell you something. They've shared it with you. Hold space and acknowledge that what they've just shared, right? Name any emotions that have been expressed. So that, and then I want your question, I think, and you can play around with it and change it up a little bit, but I feel this would really serve you, is what do you need from me? Then it's their responsibility to tell you what they need you to do. You're not having to come up with what you can do for them, right? There's a different energy to that, but you're still holding space and supporting that person in a way that is very important to you.